With only 2 episodes left, we are approaching the exciting conclusion of Star Trek Picard Season 3, and the story is building into its climax, so continue to join us every week.
Welcome to the party, pal!
As we explore each episode and reveal all the details you may have missed. And please stay tuned to the end to get a special inside look at this episode directly from the mouth of showrunner Terry MATALAS himself, so you don't want to miss this episode.
In more ways than one.
Is this a rescue mission or a continuation of the torture?
And stay tuned until later, where we'll be showing you the last wallet you'll ever need to own.
Scientists are saying the future is going to be far more futuristic than they originally predicted.
Last week's episode ended with Vadic and her crew taking over the Titan and her proclamation that it was time for Jack to learn who he truly is. We learned that Vadic was experimented on by Section 31 as a prisoner during the Dominion War, and Lore has a lot more control of the body he shares with Data than we expected. With Frontier Day now imminent and Jack in Vadic's hands, what can Picard and his crew do to get themselves out of this dire situation? Some of the things we hope to learn from this episode include why Jean-Luc's body is important to the Changelings, as well as why Jack is so important to Vadic's plans. And how was Jack able to control Sydney?
Why did you do that?
This episode begins with us seeing a reflection of Vadic lighting her cigar as she sits in the Titan captain's chair. Vadic begins turning off systems around the ship to take away access from the crew, and Geordi unplugs Lore/Data's connection to the ship as well. We hear the screams of the crew as people are being corralled and hunted. In medical, Picard, Beverly, Jack, and Sydney are trying to regain control, but Jack decides to take matters into his own hands. His eyes turn red as he takes control of a crew member and takes them down the passageway. He sees other dead crew members. Over the ship-wide announcement, Vadic tells them all the horrible things she is about to do to them if they don't give her Jack Crusher.
Oh, Jack Crusher. To the bridge, would you please?
Over on the Shrike, Riker and Troi are imprisoned, and they have a few moments together that show the depth and closeness these two characters have developed over the years. Riker calls her Imzadi, which is a Beta Z word that essentially translates into beloved. The term was used between Will and Deanna in 10 episodes of The Next Generation, as well as the movie Star Trek Nemesis and in Picard Season 1. Apparently, a changeling came to their home pretending to be Will, but she knew he was an imposter immediately, even though she can't read changelings. Will gave up the compromise code to stop them from torturing Deanna. Riker insists Picard has Vadic on the ropes, but we know that isn't the case over on the Titan.
Right now, he's set a classic Captain Picard trap, and as we speak, he's got her on the ropes.
Seven and Captain Shaw whisper angrily to each other. Shaw wanted her to blow up the turbolift when he and the changelings were in it. Seven wouldn't trade lives, and Shaw reminds her that she is a Starfleet officer and she doesn't have that luxury. He reminds her that there are consequences for her choice, not just for them, but for the entire ship. Vadic taunts Jack in an attempt to draw him out. She tells him she will kill a bridge crew member every 10 minutes until he shows up. Jack wants to turn himself in, but his mother and father try to talk him out of it. Jack insists that he is different and something has changed in him. Jack tells them he thinks he can take back the ship, but he needs to see the bridge. He tells them he can control people, and they don't believe it. But Sydney comes to his defense, and they let him try. Jack gets control of Lieutenant Murrah and tries to put an override code into the console while Vadic has her back to him. But she catches him and realizes it's Jack controlling the officer. Vadic tells Jack, "You are finally living up to all your potential." She then puts Esmar and Murrah on their knees, and Vadic uses them to taunt Jack. We find out that Murrah has a son. Seven tries to fight back, but Shaw stops her before she gets herself killed. Vadic puts the phaser to Esmar, and then at the last minute turns it and shoots Lieutenant Tavine in the head, vaporizing her. Over on the Shrike, we learn that Deanna has been using her abilities to remove the pain Will was feeling over the death of their son. And Deanna was feeling all the pain of everyone around her. Feeling connected once more, they decide they are leaving the planet they were living on during the events of Picard Season 1 to move back to the city. And just at that moment, a changeling comes to their cell to take Deanna again, and we see a Kurleth pierce its chest as Wharf unexpectedly saves the day. Wharf immediately begins talking to Deanna about how he has been thinking about her all these years, and Will asks if this is a rescue mission or a continuation of the torture. It's a great moment because at the end of TNG's 7th season, Deanna and Wharf were a thing. When we get to the events of Nemesis, of course, Will and Riker are married, but what happened to Deanna and Wharf has never been explored. This is a nice tongue-in-cheek nod to that relationship, as I think most TNG fans were glad Deanna and Riker ended up together, as Wharf went on to another romance with Jadzia Dax on DS9.
I didn't like the fact that he totally became un-Klingon-like when he was with Troi. He kind of became I liked better the relationship he had with Dax over on DS9.
Back on the Titan, Jack insists he needs to go to the bridge, but his mother implores him not to. Sydney has tried everything to gain control back of the systems. She said she would need a year, but an AI could do it in minutes. As the camera zooms in on Picard, we all know the answer is Data. As Geordi tries to reach Data, Jean-Luc and his little band show up and everyone draws weapons on each other, not knowing who might be a changeling. Picard proves it's him with some quick wine snobbery, and everyone drops their phasers. They explain to Geordi that they need Data to help get control of the ship again. Geordi tells them Data could be erased by lore because Data isn't programmed to take a life. Geordi finally agrees to do it when Sydney tells him they are out of time, and Jack goes to the bridge to buy time. Geordi warns them that once they remove the partition between Lore and Data, there's no going back. Now inside the positronic brain, we see Lore taunting Data as Data looks through old things he remembers. But before we show you Data's memories, let me quickly tell you about this video sponsor, Exter, who makes what we believe is the best wallet ever created. We just threw away our old wallets. Want to know why? Because we just discovered the most efficient smart wallet in the world. Exter has revolutionized the wallet, and we will never go back to bifold. We are so impressed. Exter wallets are super slim and sleek. They are half the size of a conventional bifold wallet. Compact and modular, they hold 12 cards or more plus cash. And that means no more stuffing that bulky, worn-out bifold wallet into your back pocket. Forget sitting on that uncomfortable lump and slide Exter into your front pocket instead. This high-quality wallet combines Italian leather, space-grade aluminum, and carbon fiber. Plus, it includes built-in RFID blocking to protect you from wireless theft. And you know how hard it can be to replace all of your cards if your wallet is stolen. Exter includes a tracking card to help you keep an eye on your belongings with a map, and you can even ring it for location assistance. This is the last wallet you'll ever buy. To get an Exter wallet like ours, visit shop.exter.com/thepopcast. Get 25% off your order when you use code THEPOPCAST at checkout. Join the wallet revolution and upgrade your quality of life with Exter today.
Evolution, my dear Watson.
The first two items of Data we see are a hat and a pipe from when he played Sherlock Holmes on the holodeck during TNG in the episode Elementary Dear Data. Interestingly, this episode is also where we meet Professor Moriarty, who served as Data's sentry at Daystrom Station earlier this season. As the partition comes down, Lore immediately begins overtaking Data. Back to Wharf, Rafi, Riker, and Deanna over on the Shrike. They find Picard's body. It looks as if the changelings have removed parts of his parietal lobe, which contained Irumodic syndrome. Rafi downloads the information and they hurry to return to the shuttle.
Strange days, huh?
You're telling me.
Download complete.
Back on the Titan, Jack shows up on the bridge with what looks like a bomb. Geordi tells Picard Lore is slowly taking over Data. Lore is taking everything Data holds as a symbol that Lore is consuming him. Lore then takes his tricorder, and Data pulls a curious item out of the air. It's a miniature holo image of Tasha Yar. Tasha was Data's friend, and she was also the security officer on the Enterprise during the first season of TNG. She was killed during the episode Skin of Evil by a tar pit doubling as a physical manifestation of evil called Armus. Picard urges Data to fight, and Jack is doing his best to distract Vadic on the bridge. The bridge crew gets locked in the captain's ready room, but Seven refuses to go as she decides to stay with Jack. We learn that Vadic wants Jack's gifts. She taunts him and asks him if he's always known what he is. Vadic offers to help him put the pieces together, but he has to make the choice. She asks him if he is curious about what's behind the red door. Data is almost gone, as he holds a deck of cards symbolizing all of the poker games he played with his friends on the Enterprise over the years. He tells Lore, "These belong to you now." Lore is confused. He wants to know why Data is just giving him these things. Data tells him, "Because I have had everything and you have had nothing." Data is showing him empathy even as he is being destroyed. And then we see perhaps the best Roddenberry of all of them. It's Spot, Data's pet cat and close companion. We first meet Spot in the episode Data's Day, and she represents a big piece of Data's effort to become more human. In this moment, she represents the love that Data has learned to understand, and when he gives it to Lore, it is Data telling his brother he loves him, even as he is about to destroy him, and that love is the one thing Lore truly never had. Data tells him, "This is the last of me," and then he disappears. Geordi tells Picard that's it. He's gone. But then suddenly, we see Lore as an electrical current runs through him, and Data returns stronger than ever before. Lore doesn't seem to understand, but Data tells him that he discovered the error in his deception, and as Lore was taking the things that were Data, he became his brother. Data consumes Lore as they become one, and Data is back.
We are made. Goodbye, brother.
Picard tells Data they are in trouble, and his old friend says no more, and immediately goes into action. The feeling is electric as Data, like we've never seen him before, challenges Vadic and her henchmen, hurling insults and describing what is about to happen to them.
This is your friendly positronic, pissed-off security system. Back online.
This truly is Data to the rescue. Rafi begins fighting her way to the bridge, and Wharf saves her as one of the changelings is about to shoot her in the back. Jack's bomb is actually a shield that he puts around himself and Seven as Picard orders the evacuation hatch open. Vadic hurls an expletive about solids and is sucked out into space.
Get off my bridge.
Vadic's body freezes as she floats through space and breaks into 1,000 pieces as her body dashes against the hull of the Shrike. Star Trek fans might initially say, hey, changelings don't need air and they can survive the vacuum of space, but we need to remember that this changeling has been modified with human DNA during the experimentations, and that is likely the reason she can no longer survive in space. Shaw and his crew come out of the ready room and he takes his chair and orders Seven to destroy the Shrike. Wharf disintegrates the rest of the changelings on board, but is still able to take the time to criticize Rafi's fighting technique. Data is back, and he shares that he is now truly beginning to experience what it's like to be human. Data explains that he is still Data, but he is also B4 and Lore, and everything soon put into this body. Data, with a tear in his eye, says he can feel. Data also expresses to Geordi his gratitude for his friendship. And for the first time this season, our entire TNG crew is back together as Deanna gives Data a big hug. Picard tells Data that the last time they spoke, he wished to experience death, but Data assures him that this version of himself doesn't want to be anywhere else in the universe. And we have to agree. This is where he belongs. Beverly tells her friends that she missed them after all these years. Wharf makes a fantastic joke where he says he has slaughtered many enemies over the years and wanted to send the heads to each of his friends, but has learned that that is passive-aggressive. Picard says, all that matters is that we are together once more. And then he tells them, because I need you. I need all of you. And this moment is important because most of these friends were not with him in the first 2 seasons of Picard, and in our hearts we feel that they should have been with him. And perhaps he now feels this way too. He explains to them that their situation is dire, as we learn that Frontier Day is only hours away. Deanna confirms that whatever the changelings have planned for Frontier Day, it has to do with Jack, and whatever is happening, it's getting stronger. Deanna tells us the voice inside him is ancient and weak, but it is not his own. Troi meets with Jack, and they are trying to get to the truth together. As Deanna works with him, she encourages him to open the red door. They are together in his mind, and as he puts his hand around the handle to open the door, a woman's voice says, Jack! Episode 8 comes to an end, and if you're asking yourself, how are you supposed to wait another week to see what's behind that red door, you're not alone. Showrunner Terry MATALAS and his whole writing team have done an amazing job this season, and this episode, written by Matt Okumura, is another wonderful piece of the 10-hour movie that is Picard Season 3. We finally have all of our main TNG crew back together again, and they are ready to take on whatever or whoever it is they need to defeat to save the Federation. Getting Data back finally and seeing the transformation from the Data we once knew combined with lore and this new and improved, very human-like Data was a joy to see. What TNG fan didn't ultimately want Data to be able to truly understand and experience what it is to be human? What fan didn't want the Soongs to ultimately achieve what they had been creating for so long? Brent Spiner is the best he's ever been, effortlessly slipping from one character into another. He plays 3 characters in this episode, and it's a joy to experience. We don't know how badly we need Data in our crew than when he finally arrives. Now, with Vadic dead and out of the picture, it seems that the darkness is surrounding Jack. But what exactly does that mean? What is behind the red door, and can Deanna help him once he opens it? We are now just hours from Frontier Day, and what awaits our TNG and Titan crew? Did you love Episode 8 and seeing a transformed Data? If so, give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing, as we are here breaking everything down for you until the end. And stay tuned, because in a moment, we are going to share with you thoughts on Episode 8 directly from the mouth of showrunner Terry MATALAS himself. But first, what do you think? Did your heart soar when Data defeated Lore, saved the Titan, and sent Vadic to her doom? Tell us what you think, and let's talk about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and want to hear more discussions about this topic or others just like it, please join us over at our other channel, the Podcast Unleashed, where we'll be conducting interviews with your favorite Star Trek personalities. Also, please consider supporting the channel and get your own spot-inspired graphic design from the amazing artists at mixtees.com. Get 20% off your purchase by using coupon code THEPOPCAST. The link is in the description below. And now, Star Trek Season 3 showrunner Terry MATALAS. Changelings, Dominion War.
Yeah.
How did you know we all wanted to go there, and what made you?
Well, I didn't know that everybody wanted to go there. I just knew I wanted to go there. They seemed like an amazing villain to do, because they could look like anyone. And to do an infiltration within Starfleet was such a tantalizing idea to go there. Especially after how it ended in Deep Space Nine, with an almost attempted genocide. It didn't feel like that was a happy ending for all parties involved. You know, gosh, you really wish Rene Bourgeois was around, and he would totally be in this season. That was an idea that was around right from the very beginning as well.
I have slaughtered countless enemies over the years and considered sending their heads to all of you.